The chair is going to lay out House Bill 3188 and recognize Chair Krause to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, committee members, good morning. House Bill 3188 is a simple bill with profound implications. What it would do is remove grounds of insupportability from divorce. It would basically end no-fault divorce here in Texas. What we've seen since no-fault divorce was created, ironically, was by Ronald Reagan as the first governor in the country in the late 70s to institute no-fault divorce, later called it one of his greatest, if not the greatest mistake he had made in public office. We've seen the hastening of divorce, and we've seen the institution of marriage devalued at the same time. And so what I think this would do, it still leaves in all the fault grounds for divorce, but it takes out the no-fault divorce because there's due process concerns as well. We've heard from many folks, you're going to hear from some testifying today, that all it takes is one person. No other contracts do we allow one person to unilaterally break it without any kind of penalty. Marriage is the one time where we say no-fault divorce. It doesn't matter what both spouses aren't on the same page. A husband or a wife can move for that. Unilaterally, there's no other place in law where you always win. In a unilateral no-fault divorce, the person moving for that divorce always wins. There's due process concerns, and there's societal concerns as well. I know y'all have a long day ahead of you, so I want to answer any questions. I'm going to ask anybody who's here to testify on behalf of the bill today in support to be short in your remarks, because I know there's a lot of folks. I'm going to ask anybody who's opposed to the bill not even to testify. No, I'm just joking. I'm not going to ask that. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, I reserve my right to close.
Thank you. And let the record reflect that Vice Chair Swanson is present and Chair recognizes Representative Ramos.
Representative Krause, when you say due process, what do you mean when there's no, when you said there's no due process in this? What do you mean?
Yeah, the other side is never allowed to give their side of why they don't think that divorce
That's not true, sir.
should happen.
That's not true at all.
I believe it is true. It doesn't matter what evidence you put on. It doesn't matter what you say. You're going to hear from one of the witnesses, I believe, Christy Davis, who's going to tell you out of their family, it was only the husband that wanted that no-fault divorce. He petitioned for that divorce. It didn't matter what the arguments were from the kids. It didn't matter what the arguments were from the spouse. That divorce was granted.
That's not accurate. You can actually file a counter petition in which you can state the grounds that you want a divorce, so then both parties are active parties. And regarding due process, the due process divorce, the grounds of the divorce have nothing to do with due process. So you still have to be cited. You still have to get deliverance of that paper or sign a waiver, waiving citation, but there is due process. And I think, I understand. Are you a lawyer? Like, have you
Yes.
practiced family law in this situation?
I'm not an expert in family law by any means.
Well, I can tell you that many times when I have cases where the woman has been physically, or the man, abused, they prefer to put no-fault grounds on there of insupportability for fear of retaliation. So to make things as smooth as possible, they don't want to say that they were physically abused or that whatever. In addition to that, it makes litigation more expensive, because then both parties are now, many times I do in standard practice, because there's such conflict, you want to put insupportability, because then you put all those other factors, they begin to fight more. Things become more volatile. The kids get more embedded in whose side they're picking on, versus this, we agree, we're not going to throw crap at each other. Let's just move on because we've decided this is not the right space for us. So I think it's very misleading when you say they're due process grounds, because that's not actually true. There is a counter petition where the other party can always file a counter petition and saying, these are the reasons I want to get a divorce. And those forms are even free online. So I look forward to hearing from your witnesses, but I think this is very dangerous for Texas families, because many times if people can't afford a divorce and they want to make it as smooth and non-confrontational as possible, the insupportability grounds are what really help these families, because there's enough crap they have to deal with. Now we're gonna have to throw crap at each other to try to get a divorce. And then I've even had clients who don't want to get a divorce. And so nobody wants to be in a marriage where one person absolutely does not want to be there. And it looks like that's what you're trying to do. And I think that's very hurtful. But I look forward to, I look forward to hearing from your witnesses.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. This is actually the fourth session we filed this bill, and we've had those same concerns brought up, and I think those are very valid. That's the reason Ronald Reagan signed the first one in the 70s, is to make them less contentious and hopefully stop some of that. What we found actually is especially when kids are involved, even though the support grounds may be insupportability, when they move on to custody and things like that, a lot of that dirty laundry comes out anyway. A lot of that hostility, a lot of that animosity comes out anyway. That's where we're looking at the statistics for those kids from divorced homes have ACEs. I think it's called, Chairman Frank, I think, knows about those adverse childhood experiences where divorce is one of those, and that leads to a compounding of those other ACE categories. So what we're really looking at is a way to make sure we're valuing marriage here in Texas, make sure that we're giving people still a chance who are in dangerous situations a way out. But your concerns are very well taken, and I understand that. I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, and
Well,
I
I
have
would-
some witnesses as well.
Yes.
And I would say, and last comment, these people obviously value marriage because they got into one. They just couldn't predict the future, which is why they want to get out. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Let the record reflect that Representative Cook is present. Okay. Any further questions for Chair Krause? Okay, we'll proceed
you.
to testimony. Thank you.